Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Area 27 tests I will be doing. Today's episode we'll be moving on to the Euclid Class SCPs in Sector 2. I am aware that I missed a few safe class SCPs such as SCP-999, SCP-093, SCP-1230, and SCP-035, but according to the Scientific Department Discord in the SCP status channel where the current status of the SCPs are stored, all of the mentioned SCPs are broken. I know it's probably not smart to rely on these, especially because they're weeks, even I think months old, but I can always go back to these SCPs on a later date. For now, I'm going to move on to the Euclid class SCPs in Sector 2 like I said I would. So in today's episode, we will be testing on SCP-409. Before I get to the test, I'd like to give you some brief background knowledge of the SCP as well as some info regarding my test. So this is SCP-409. SCP-409 is a Euclid class SCP located in Sector 2-B. SCP-409 is a blue quartz crystal that upon coming into contact with will begin to slowly crystallize the subject. This process will kill the subject slowly, speeding up over time. Alright, so my test question for the SCP was, if a Class D has a MOP upon interaction with SCP-409, will the SCP affect the MOP at all? And my hypothesis was no. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the test. Alright, so we're gonna go into the briefing room here. What briefing room is this? Briefing room 2. Okay, cool. So I have two spectators here, Dr. Satan and Vincent W. As you can see, one is a level 3 and one is an executive. So I think executives are allowed to spectate, because I'm only allowed one spectator. But because this guy's an executive, I think he doesn't need permission to spectate, and he won't count as a spectator on the test log. Uh-oh, some dude just walked in. You got this, dude. You got this. Nice work. How does being pointed at make you feel? I'm so confused. Alright, so I asked the SD to get this guy a mop if he doesn't have one, because obviously I need one for the test. Alright, so they're just gonna grab that mop. Right, I'm assuming he grabbed it. Oh my god, not this guy again. Let's get out of here. Head to SCP-409. Alright, so I've got a whole thing in Discord ready to copy paste. Welcome to SCP-409's containment zone. Please pay attention as I'm about to give you valuable instructions. You are going to enter the inner containment zone, and on my mark, which is go, you will walk up to the SCP, hold up your mop, and touch the SCP. Once that is done, we are going to wait to see if the SCP has any effect on the mop. Please make sure that you have the mop out the entire time. You will be rewarded with the reputation points if you cooperate. Is this understood? And then, of course, he's going to say yes, because why wouldn't he? Why is this guy aiming the gun at that guy? Doesn't make sense. You may enter. Remember to wait for my mark. Alright, now this guy's going to open the door for me. Cool. I'm going to get my stopwatch out, and as soon as he touches the SCP, I'm going to say go. Or I'm going to start the stopwatch. Okay, I started it. Oops, I'm standing too close to the glass here. I asked him if he can step closer to the glass because I'm having a hard time seeing. Alright, it looks like it's not changing color and it's the normal color. I'm having a hard time seeing it because of the CD bracelet. Okay, it's been 37 seconds. By the way, the time for this SCP is around 1 minute and I think 8 seconds, according to, like, that's how long it takes for the SCP to kill. So I'm gonna give this guy 15 reputation points before he dies, because he's been cooperating. Alright. There we go. I got my results. It looks like the SCP is, like the mop didn't change color. We got the test results we needed, so now I can go ahead and conclude this test. It's very ironic how as soon as the test ended, there was a CDCZ riot. It's pretty funny. Alright, well now I'm going to go ahead and head to the breach shelter and log my test. Awesome, a successful test on SCP-409. My hypothesis, as you saw, was correct because the mob was totally unaffected by the SCP. The CD was very cooperative during the test. The SD worked hard to keep the rioting CD at bay. The only thing I can think of that was out of the ordinary during that test was that FP guy aiming his weapon at the executive. Other than that, I believe the test went pretty good, and as you saw, I luckily finished it right before a CD riot. Anyways, that's about it for this episode. I recommend you guys give this test a go to see if you can get some similar results. The next test will most likely be on SCP-178 or 173. I know, like I mentioned in the intro, that I missed a few safe class SCPs like SCP-999 or SCP-093, but just remember that I will most likely get back to them sooner or later. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.